Okay, today we're going to take a look at 3 different saddles that all are by the same company. And that is Selle Italia. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you these 3 saddles right here. And I'm going to talk a bit about the differences between them. Now, let me give you a background story real quick. So I've been using Selle brand saddles since day one, basically. I think my very first road saddle was the Fizik Arione, and I quickly swapped it out for a Selle Italia. So I've been riding Selle Italia saddles for a good 12 plus years just on road bikes alone, and I've just recently added a Selle from a road bike that I was using because I just got this one the other day. I just got this saddle the other day, so I went ahead and took the saddle off of this bike and placed it on the mountain bike. I did that for a couple of reasons, mainly because this is a bit wider. This is the Max Filght Gel Flow saddle. It's probably my least favorite one of the bunch, actually, but it is not worth throwing away at this point since I have had it for quite a while and it has some life left in it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it on this hardtail mountain bike until it's seen its last day. But let me talk about these 3 saddles and give you my take on the 3. Okay, so I just bought this one. This one's brand new, and this saddle I've used quite a bit, and obviously this one on the racing bike here. This is the older version of the Filght saddle. They don't make this one anymore. This is the Filght Gel Flow. It's not a Max Filght Gel Flow. It's just the it's the Filght Gel Flow. This saddle was about a 2010 year, roughly 9 or 10, somewhere in that area is when I got it. The difference between this saddle and the difference between the Filght saddle and the Max Filght is a couple of things. The Filght is a narrow one. This is 130 millimeters wide by 275 millimeters long. They're all 275 millimeters long. So they all have the same length. This one's the narrowest, followed by these two. These 2 saddles here, these 2 are more or less the same width, which is 145 millimeters. They look wider actually, but they are only 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter wider. All 3 of these saddles, these are all microfiber covers. These are synthetic materials. I just went on their website to verify that. This is a microfiber, especially this one, because this one I have data on because it's so new. This is a microfiber cover, and that's important, and we'll talk about that, why that is in a second. But these 3 saddles all have the same cover material. It's a microfiber cover. The difference between the 3 is the width and the thickness of the padding, but also this one right here in the middle, this Max Filght Gel Flow. What's very unique about it is that you can see right through there, the saddle has a disconnect between the plastic housing or the plastic whatever, the plastic shape of the saddle. It is actually only connected along the sides here, which gives it this kind of shock absorbing value. This thing can flex more, you see. That's an interesting kind of design that they came up with. For some reason, I think they were really going for comfort. That provides a lot more flex on the saddle than this one. See, I'm pushing the same amount. Very little flex. See, same amount. I don't know if you see my arm, but that's about the same amount. And notice how each one of them flexes. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the cutouts real quick. These 2 have about the same amount of cutout. I measured the width here and the width here. This is 1.25 inches down to about a 1/2 inch. Okay? And it has more of a flared, it kind of flares a little more. So there's a lot of cutout here. This one, it starts wide, narrows down, and skinny here. And then this one is just kind of skinny. There's not a lot of cutout. But again, it's a narrower saddle, so you can't make they didn't make the cutout as big. Alright, let's talk quickly about the padding material. So this one has, you know, almost feel like you need a durometer test for this, but this one is firm. I would say this feels to be about a quarter to 3/8 of an inch thick. This feels more like 1/2 inch or even 5/8 of an inch. And this feels about between 1/4 and 3/8. So this one and this one have the same thickness of foam. Okay, and they feel about the same as far as firmness. So as far as that goes, this one's firm and this one is firm. This one's 145 millimeters, this is 130 millimeters. This has a 25 millimeter or 30 millimeter, if you will, cutout. This has about a 15 or even a 15 or a 10 millimeter cutout. It's a very narrow cutout. This is like maybe less than 10 here, it goes up to maybe 10 there, and then it's back down. This one goes from 30 to maybe 15 to 10. Okay, so, but again, much more padding, and it has that shell. The plastic shell is designed to have this kind of shock absorber built in. Now, coming from the side profiles. Let's take a quick look down the side profiles. What you will see is this one has a bit of a dip to it. That is because of the use. This eventually created a saddle, but that only occurred over time. It came originally, it was flat, but it is a flexible plastic, so it eventually curves. And I actually find that now to be more comfortable now than the day I bought it. This one has about the same amount of mileage as this one, or even more. And what's fascinating, what's interesting to me anyway, is that this one, see, it stayed level. It hasn't curved or deformed at all. So my guess is this one will deform, probably something like this eventually, but it's brand new and it's has more or less a level profile. If you can compare the two, see, as I lined them up like that. So it's still pretty level. It has a little bit of a dip right here. That's the profiles from the side. This is actually called an SLR. So the shape of this is the SLR, and notice that there's a difference between this and this. There's nothing like this on the front. This is the SLR. But the shape of them are almost very similar. Okay, something else you should know about saddles. These are all handmade saddles. Handmade. So there's going to be some slight variation when you buy something that is handmade. So what I show you here, you might have something slightly different. The amount of curvature, the exact width, there are variations when you do handmade, when you buy handmade stuff. Also the rails, all three of these have the same rail material. I think it's an aluminum. It's an aluminum tubing, okay? So nothing special. They all weigh about the same. With the exception of this one, the Max SLR Gel Flow does weigh more than these two. These two weigh about the same. This one being the lightest, and this one's definitely the lightest. Now, if you can also notice this split right here, I crashed on this saddle, but it hasn't actually affected the way it feels. This is just kind of a rip in the fabric. Still works fine. In fact, I just rode it not too long ago. You saw that other video I made where I raced this, or not really raced it, but I followed a race on this. I was planning to race it, but I didn't get signed. They wouldn't let me sign up because I didn't pre-register and I got there too late. So get to the races early and make sure you have a good saddle. Don't try out a new saddle at a race. That's usually not a good idea. But anyway, these are the three saddles. Just wanted to share them with you. I can compare these to other saddles I like. Oh yeah, and I was going to tell you, and that's right, you wanted me to come back and explain why the microfiber is important for this discussion. That's important because some of you are vegan cyclists, and I think that you will appreciate the fact that this does not have any animal products in it. It's not obvious, actually. This looks like leather, but I did share some research, and it turns out, according to their website, that this is a microfiber At least for this one. I can't speak on these two because I don't know, but for sure this one is synthetic material. Alright, so that's all. I just wanted to do this really fast because I was pulling these bikes out and I thought, well, before I wear out this saddle, before I break it in, let's go ahead and take a look at it, all three of them, all at the same time. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and leave your comments in the comment section and we'll have an argument there. Thanks, bye now.